Hey everybody, Joe Diesel here.
And this is Jesse.
Yes, and welcome back to the Half Hour Power. A little later tonight, but on the same night. So how you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing all right. Went down the wrong road, ended up in a city where everybody was trying to kill each other. So, other than that, it's good.
That sounds exciting. Well, that's wonderful. So what do you think was number one last weekend?
Oh, man, what came out last weekend? Actually, I think it was Turtles again.
You what?
I think it was Turtles again.
That's your guess?
That is my guess.
You sure?
Yep, it's also my knowledge, because I know it is.
All right. All right, Turtles is number one again, unfortunately, but number two?
Guardians.
Was not far behind Turtles at all.
No.
So it almost beat it. So what do you think made number three?
I want to say The Expendables, but I don't think it was. I think it was something else, wasn't it?
Let's Be Cops.
Yeah, that's surprising.
It was number three, and The Expendables, number four. So that leaves the number five spot. What do you think was number five?
I have no clue.
The Giver.
The Giver.
Yeah.
That's a good book, Joe.
Huh?
That's a good book, Joe. Stop mocking.
I'm not going to watch that movie.
Okay, I get you.
Someday, maybe. But anyway, so that rounds out that. Now, we're here at the last week. This is the last summer movie we're going to do. Next week, we'll just do a summer movie roundup and just talk about the summer, how we thought it went, what were our favorite summer movies, what were our not-so-favorite summer movies. But this is the last one, and that it is Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, is what we're going to talk about this week. The first one was not a summer movie. It did not come out in the summertime. It actually came out in April. This one is summer. It's right here at the end there. And my big question is, why did they wait so long in between this one and the first one?
Don't know.
Do you know why? Or
I mean, I could speculate. I know Rodriguez has a huge plate. He's being offered direct phones all the time, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. And I also think it's that the first one wasn't that good. It was okay. Didn't really need a sequel.
Yeah. I got that feeling, too. I mean, I was kind of interested in seeing this one. I wasn't that pumped up to see it. I thought the first one was all right. But after having seen this, it's like, this one's okay. The first one, I think, is better. But I think the first one has better stories, too. What about you?
I agree. They had the 30 better comics. Honestly, the A Dame to Kill For is a good comic. I did enjoy that comic. I did read it. The other story that is actually in the comic is Just Another Saturday Night, and it was just like one issue. It was, one floppy. It wasn't a hardback or a graphic novel or anything like that. So, so I think they chose the 30 right ones for the first one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Those were, I've read these comics also, and those were the strongest ones. And A Dame to Kill For is a pretty good comic.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy that also. I was just looking up here the domestic take of the first Sin City. That's at 74. Worldwide takes 158. So it did fairly well. But they just didn't jump on the didn't jump on the sequel as quickly as I thought they would, because right after they come out and did so well, they started talking about sequel. I mean, that one was budgeted at $40 million, so I mean, making that much is pretty good for a $40 million movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first one was a, I kind of want to say it's a landmark film, because it was the first film to be shot without any kind, sets and everything like that, or props. In some cases. So I mean, I think more of it as a technical achievement than I do a good story or anything like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, there's also a article on Box Office Mojo, and I haven't read this article yet, but that they predict the long delay between the two movies is going to hurt this sequel. And just looking at some early reports, it actually might. I kind of agree with that, because they forecast it on Box Office Mojo. They forecast it to make $16.5 million. Just over this weekend, and the original Sin City here, if I'm looking at these numbers, its opening weekend was almost $30 million. It was $29 million. So that's quite a drop for those.
Yeah.
For those there.
I'll be honest with you.
Go on.
I like the comics. I did like the comics. I don't see why they had to adapt them so closely. I think they should have actually did the opposite and veered a little bit more and added more to them, because they, instead of having like 3 movies in one, or 3 comic books in one, just make each comic book into a movie and just expand upon it. The only reason I saw this one, because I didn't enjoy the first one that much, is that I love Robert Rodriguez. I think Rodriguez is one of the biggest inspirations you can have in Hollywood. He made it from absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I try to watch everything he makes. I like Spy Kids.
Well,
even the Spy Kids.
The first Sin City movie that he made, he had Frank Miller. He wanted Frank Miller to have a co-directing credit, and the Directors Guild told him no. So he told the Directors Guild that he quit, that he no longer was going to be a member of the Directors Guild, and he still hasn't reconnected to the Directors Guild in any way. In fact, after he quit the Directors Guild, he lost his next movie, which was the John Carter movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Sin City cost him a gig, but he's a guy who's going to stand by his moral basis. His oh my God, I can't even think of the word. I want to say credentials, but it's not the credentials. It's he has principles.
Convictions, principles, yeah.
Yeah. And
that's good.
That's
good to see.
Yeah. But he's not a big proponent of unions. I'll say that. Because not only is he not a member of the Directors Guild, he's also quit the Writers Guild. Because he says all they do is take money and that's it. So, but that's one good thing that came out of Sin City, is that he, quit the Directors Guild, which I'm not a big fan of the unions or any of that either. But he did lose John Carter, and I kind of would like to see what he would have done with that movie.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that too. His version of that.
Back to the Sin City. I think that the problem with the first one, and I think the like I said, 2 of the stories are the strongest stories they have, which would be The Hard Goodbye and That Yellow Bastard. But one of the reasons that they're so strong is, and especially it's one of the strong things about this movie, which we'll get into later, but Mickey Rourke is really good as Marv. He's was almost perfectly cast as Marv. And I do like Bruce Willis as Hartigan. And those stories are actually the two best stories. And David Gilfour is the third in comic book form.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. So what about the second one? The second one is 3 stories also, right? So it's David Gilfour is the main story. So what are the other 2 stories?
Yeah, the first one's just another Saturday Night, which I said it's just one issue. That's why it's so short and it's at the opening credits.
Yeah.
The other 2 stories in there, which I do consider there are 2 other stories in there, were, written by Frank Miller to be comics, but he never made them into comics. And I think the last one's just there to get Jessica Alba in it more, to be honest.
Oh, the last one, is that one called The Long Bad Night, or does that have a different name? I see there's a list here. I found a list of the names of the stories.
Well, which one would you call The Long Bad Night? Her story or Joseph Gordon-Levitt's one? Because they're both pretty crappy nights.
Yeah, I figure his night would have been worse, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But like not to get too far into it, because I know the second half of the show will be about about that. But one of the problems that I think is wrong with Sin City as a movie is the same story that they tell about F Troop. Have you ever heard of the story about F Troop?
No.
But the guy who produced the show wasn't you'd get the scripts and he'd read them and he's like, wow, these aren't funny at all. These are like the worst scripts I've ever read in my life. And then he'd see the scripts performed and they were hilarious. He couldn't stop laughing because there's a difference between what's on the page and how it's performed. Now, Sin City's the opposite of that. What's on the script may look great, but once performed, it don't look that good because the dialogue is really kind of clunky.
Yeah, because it's that hard-boiled noir dialogue, right?
Right. I mean, it is, but it's all it is. There has to be those little breaks into natural dialogue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they never do that, do they? In the movies.
Right. I mean, hard-boiled dialogue, even back in the 40s, still was written into a natural flow because that's the way that was their chatter back then. That's the way they talked. So it seemed more natural. But it just doesn't seem natural. Like, in the original, it just didn't seem natural, the dialogue. It seemed really, really still. The only person who I thought really delivered the lines with any kind of relish and naturalism was Mickey Rourke. It seemed like those words belonged to be coming out of his mouth. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I do. I thought he's great as Marv also.
Yeah.
I remember thinking when The Wrestler came out, everybody was all over The Wrestler, like Mickey Rourke hadn't done anything until The Wrestler. I was like, well, what about Sin City? That was like a couple of years before The Wrestler. What are they talking about?
Yeah, and, honestly, I thought he was good in The Wrestler, but I don't like that movie very much.
Yeah, I thought he was good in that too, but, yeah, the same way. I watched it just to see what they were talking about and what Mickey Rourke was doing. But, yeah, I don't think it was that great.
Mm-hmm.
But I see right now we're up against a break here, so we'll have to get some time for our summer sponsors. New to the motivational speaking circuit all the way from Basin City. That's right, the very same Sin City for short. Basin City Motivational Speakers presents its newest sensation, Marv. That's right, the man who brought you to tears with his hard goodbye talk last year is now touring the motivational lecture circuit. Hear firsthand how to beat the truth out of any adversary. How to tell if that scumbag next to you might hit a lady. How to infiltrate Rourke Farm and kill psychopaths named Kevin. How to guard and protect women named Nancy. Marvel motivates you to do all those things and more. Get your tickets today, as they are sure to sell out fast. Warning, if you do not take Mars' motivational talk seriously, he will kill you in the most inhumane way possible. All right, we're back here talking about Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. So we talked about Mickey Rourke. What about the rest of the cast for this movie? There's a few different cast members that we haven't seen before. Some of them obviously had to be recast because a couple of the original cast members passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what do you think of Dennis Haysbert taking over for Michael Clark Duncan?
Dennis Haysbert wasn't a bad replacement. If anybody could do the job, it's him. But the problem is it's not a very good role. Like I said, every line of dialogue that comes from his mouth seems silly. And the accent he tries to pull off, which Michael Clark Duncan didn't have an accent in the first one, but he seems to be trying for a strong African, kind of accent on himself, and it just doesn't work at all.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of strange. I thought he's all right in the role. I thought he did all right, but for me, I remember him best as the president in 24.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's
so yeah. So I just thought it was kind of odd. I'd never seen him in a role like that before. It's a pretty different role from playing the president in 24 to the role he had in Sin City 2.
Mm.
And Brittany Murphy has also passed away, and she was in the first. I don't know if her character in this one had a big part. Did she have a huge part in this role? This movie?
I don't know which one was her role, to be honest. They never said her name. Her name was Shelley in the first movie.
Yeah,
they never said her name at all.
I guess her role in this was so small that it didn't matter much. There was a couple of other recastings. You had Jeremy Piven replace Michael Madsen as Bob. I didn't notice that. Did you? Did you even notice it?
No real different. Yeah, no.
Nothing against those two guys. It's just not a very huge role, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Miho was also recast.
Yeah,
but the
that lady was
lady
pregnant.
she was pregnant, so it's not because she didn't want to be in it or anything like that. And we have Josh Brolin taking over for Clive Owen as Dwight. So why did he do that? Why did that happen?
Clive wasn't only available to do the movie. The original plan, which I thought was ingenious and should have been done, is that, spoiler alert, that part of the storyline was that Josh Brolin would have played Dwight until he had his plastic surgery. And then it would have been Clive Owen from then on out. But Clive couldn't do it, so they said Josh Brolin continue his role, and I got to admit that's one of the stupidest parts of the movie for me, is when nobody's supposed to recognize Josh Brolin as Dwight still. The transformation wasn't that amazing.
Yeah, they tried, and I agree with that, because I remember when he appeared, and he's supposed to be disguised. Oh, he's disguised. He's this, and I was looking at him. Oh, that is him. And then that's like the first line out of Dennis Haysbert's mouth is, "It's Dwight." It only fooled him for like a second.
Yeah, everything about this movie, Joe. I'm sorry. I know that there's no sets in it, but it feels so fake in every way. The acting, the editing. I mean, I don't even think Joseph Gordon-Levitt did a horrible job. Well, he wasn't given much. And the story is so stupid. That's one of the stupidest stories in the series now. It made no sense to me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's so blah. There's the build up, there it goes, how's it going to end, and then it ends. You're like, oh, well, thanks for nothing.
Yeah. It was not good. It was not good at all. The David Kilford story, I'll admit this now, the best part of the movie is the lady who plays Ava is almost naked through the whole entire thing. And that's the best part of the movie. Other than that,
yes, she is, and that is Eva Green.
Yeah.
And for anybody keeping score, she appeared previously this year in another Frank Miller movie. You remember what that was?
She was in 300, Rise of an Empire.
Yeah.
She's a good actress.
Yeah, she's good. And she's naked through half the movie, so
yeah.
Not the 300 Rise of an Empire, but as you just said, it's a Sin City, so I guess that's a reason to see it, you know? I mean, if you want to see it, if you need that reason, that's a reason for you.
The people who are on this movie are all good actors. None of them are bad actors.
Yeah.
But the material, they don't try to raise the material in any way. And the material is nowhere, is flat bottom. So they're all flat bottom. But
yeah,
all
so let me ask you this. You mentioned this earlier. You thought they should have deviated a little more. Is this a case where, I mean, this is based on a comic book, like we've just said. Is this a case where they stuck too close to the comic? Where, because a lot of times you hear that, you know, we've had comic book movies open already this year, and we've talked about this a little bit, where people are like, well, they didn't do that in the comic, they didn't do this. I wish it was more like the comic. Is this a case where this one shouldn't have been more like the comic?
I think they should have deviated, yes. I think that they should have, like I said, they should have took each graphic novel and made each graphic novel into a movie. Another, you know, honestly, I don't know why there's so much computer effects in it. That's the other thing, is that Rodriguez was trying to duplicate the comic almost frame for frame in the movie. Sin City is about crime. It's not a superhero movie. It's not any of that. So they could really have kind of cut all that crap out, you know, and shot it more towards a realistic kind of point of view. But yeah, things that work in comics don't always work in movies. Like the way things that work in novels don't always work in movies.
Yeah.
I mean, hence that's
so
why
this movie, you think this is too stylized?
I think it is it's over stylized, and that the thing that was lost is they didn't care about the story and they cared about the technical achievement. And I mean, it's cool how they did all that. I'm not saying that's not cool. That is awesome how they did all that. But it seems like they concentrated too much on doing that than story, characters, writing, any of the stuff that is really important.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, we went to see this today, obviously, and I just remember thinking once I thought the David Kilford story was all right. It was okay. It was the best part of the movie if you're just talking about the movie. For me, it was the best part of the movie. And when it was over, I wish the movie was over. But it goes on for, what is that, another 20, 30 minutes maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe longer?
It's really stupid long. It's really
stupid.
I
wanted it to be over then, but it just wouldn't do it.
It's an hour and 42 minutes long, for one. That's how long it is, an hour and 42 minutes. They really overuse Marv, I think, in the movie, too. Because a lot of those stories, Marv's not really as important piece in them as he's made out to be. Because David Kilford, that movie's about Dwight. But Marv's, like, in every other shot.
Yeah, he's in there quite a bit. And do you think that's the case if they knew that Mickey Rourke was the best part of the first one and they just wanted to put him in this one more?
I do think that. I agree with that. There's no doubt in my mind about that. that they wanted to capitalize on what worked in the first film more so. And he's the only thing that works, really.
Yeah. Now, I found the name of that story. The Long Bad Night is the Joseph Gordon-Levitt story, and Nancy's Last Dance is the name of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is it?
Very, very, yeah.
Yeah.
So, there you go. It really is 4 stories. But, yeah, so what do you think? Should there be another one?
No. I mean, there's only one other comic left that I know of in the Sin City universe, and that's To Hell and Back, and that's not even a very good comic, so I would just stop.
You think so?
So, I think it should be done. I think it should be done. I think Frank Miller should go back to doing what he does best, which is comics.
Yeah. Yeah, so what do you think? You think this is going to even clear the box office mojo prediction? Do you think it's going to clear that? Or do you think it's going to do worse than that?
I think that it's going to be a worse. They said Expendables 3 tanked. This movie's going to do worse than tank.
Oh, wow. You think so?
I think if it makes $5 million over the weekend, I'd be shocked.
$5 million, really? That low, huh?
Well, let me say it this way. I think it should make more money than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Transformers, but that's it. But then again, I thought that making $1 million for Transformers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was too much money. Nobody should have saw those films.
Well, don't hold back. We'll get to talk more about that. We're going to talk more about that next week.
Yeah.
All right, so we are coming up to the end here, so let's kind of sum it up. Would you say read the comics or go see this movie?
I would say read the comics. The material works on the page. It doesn't work when it's played. That's what I would say about it. So I just stay away from it. It's just not that good. Wait for it to come on Netflix or somewhere free.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, if you didn't know these were comics, you may not know. Go check out these comics. I agree with that. I think they do work better as comics. I wasn't that impressed with the movie either. I guess just watch the first one again if you want to see it. But the reason to see it is for all you guys out there that want to see Eva Green. So I guess that's the main reason to see it.
The only reason, Joe, the only reason.
Yeah, I guess so. So here we come up to the end, our last summer movie for summer 2014. So next week we'll do the summer roundup, and we'll be heading on into the fall season, then into Halloween. Those are fun. We love doing them shows. So, any final thoughts, Jesse?
After near the end of September, I'm going to go back to working at the haunted house, so I might not be on as much as, like last year. I'll be on probably about the same amount of time as I was last year. So, looking forward to that.
Oh, okay. All right, sounds good. So we'll just see what happens here. And all right, that wraps up another half hour of power.